job we're going to be doing today is going to be creating a range for your AI characters, any of your NPCs, to be able to find and react to your player character without necessarily having to be next to them, or maybe they shouldn't be reacting right away. They should be doing some kind of idle animation or something until they notice that the player's there. So the first thing we got to do is make sure that we are broadcasting the X and Y coordinate of our player character. In this case we're not, so I'm going into attributes right now. I'm going to hit plus, and we're going to make two integer or real attributes. Either way is fine. I usually call them player X, although it doesn't matter what you call them as long as you know what they do. Okay, so we have player X and player Y. So now that we've made those attributes, one important part about that is that we're going to have to constrain those attributes to the position of our character here. So let's go ahead and go into the behavior. We're going to be constraining the player X, which is going to be a game attribute. It's the one we've made. Player X to self position X. So we're looking for the position there. And the other one, I'm just going to do a copy and drag so we don't have to grab another constraint attribute. We're going to be setting the game attribute of player Y to self position Y. There we go. So now this guy's broadcasting his position to the rest of the game. I need to make an actor that's going to respond to him. And I had one before with the Mega Man thing, but this is a game I'm building to kind of show you guys what we need to be making for our games. So I want to make Batty over again. Batty's always red because Batty's a bad guy. Going to do a little cleanup on Batty real quick. Make sure he's movable, fixed rotation, bouncing is set to 0. All these things should be fine. Now we're going to have him move, but we're going to create the rule to have him move only when he gets in a certain range from our player. So what we need to do is check the attribute of player X, and as long as it is less than or equal to, let's see here, this can be put together in different ways, but I'll show you one way, and then you can always change it as you need to. We're looking for the position X of the Batty right here. So as long as it's less than or equal to self position plus, let's say 200, and all the measurements in this are in pixels. So your speed, your size, everything is in pixels, just to keep that in mind. So it's less than self position plus 200, and then the other side of that's going to be game player X where it is greater than or equal to self position X minus 200. Now you could always create an attribute to quickly change these things. I'm just laying in 200 as an arbitrary amount. You guys can always change this. But if it's 200 pixels in front of and 200 pixels behind our player here, or our Batty, then we're looking at a 400 pixel range around our Batty. Okay, and I'm just going to use move to real quick. It's very simple. We'll throw that in there, and we're going to have him go to the X and Y coordinate for our player. So I got to go to game, go to player X, and if you leave this as 0, it will try and move just to the X position, but the 0 is for Y. So since we're just having him travel along a plane, just a simple bar platform that we have there, I'm going to leave it just X, and let's see what happens. Okay, we're going to collide with the platform, and I'll have him collide with the cool guy too. That's one way to get around the issue of having the center point for your baddies or your NPCs and the center point for your player getting crossed, and that sometimes that makes them stop altogether, and then you have to add a timer, and this makes things a little easier. Okay, so we have everything set. We need to drop this guy into the scene, and we'll check it out. Okay, he's pretty big. I'll shrink him down a little bit. Okay, now I'm way outside of 200 right now. Okay, I'm also set at 50. I'm going to go to 100. So here's my dude. He moves around pretty good, and he can run. Ah! You can also get out of that range pretty easy. Okay. Yeah, it's actually Kirito from Sword Art. So, yeah. Somebody made a... Yeah, that's horrible. Start that over. Alright, so see, we get in the range, and then we get out of the range pretty quickly. He's not going to jump up after me. Okay. So that's how we can get that character to move after your player, only when it's within a certain range. You can always adjust these values on the baddie to be whatever you want it to. It could be 1,000, it could be 5,000, whatever you want. If you want it to come from the other side of the level after the guy, you can use this. But leaving it at 0 is not going to change anything. It just means he's going to pursue him on only the X coordinate. Something else you guys might want to do instead, and this is getting a little more complicated, instead of move 2, we might pull move out completely, and we might have him shoot. Okay, so with that, I'll do a real quick projectile kind of setup. Call this baddie projectile. This will be shooting right, and after we make the set up all the code and everything, then we're going to do the other one. So made him a little smaller. Checking the physics. He does need to be movable. Fixed rotation is not a big deal. Bounciness isn't a big deal. It's just going to move in a certain direction. So I'm going to have it move to the right with this one. Okay, so he's already set up. In fact, 300 looks pretty good. And this is baddie projectile that way. And I need it to destroy itself whenever it touches, when actor receives, overlaps, or collides with cool guy. We're going to destroy it. Okay. I'm just going to copy this actor real fast, and then we can make some small changes. Okay. Change the name. Okay, need to go in here after you copy it, of course, and we need to change the direction to 180. There we go. I'm just going to leave it as a little white box. Don't need too much on there. So now what I'm going to do is make it shoot at the guy whenever he's within a certain range. Now you can add these together and say within a certain range, move after this person, and then within another range, you can have them shoot. So you can layer these in together if you want to. I'm going to make this a lot larger now, so I'm going to do about 600. So he's going to attack him whenever he's a little bit further away. He's not going to move this time. You can nest the move inside of the shoot if you want to, or vice versa. You can do two separate ones as well. Yeah, if you want to, you can do two separate ones. Okay, so we're going to spawn an actor here. Now this is going to take one more rule for this one, because you have two different ways you can shoot. So I'm going to create a rule, and we're within the range, but we need to evaluate which way does this guy need to shoot. So I'm going to take the X coordinate, and we're going to say if the X coordinate for the player is less than the X coordinate for the baddie, his position, then we want this guy to spawn projectile going to the left, because that means the player is on his left side. If he's not, we want it to come over here. Okay, so since we're checking one side, we can make the otherwise shoot in the other direction. We have another issue, though, that this is only going to happen once. Okay, so we have to be able to have this happen multiple times. Okay, so to do that, we're going to put a timer on here. There's also a loop that we could use right here, a loop structure we could use, and that's a little more advanced. Definitely could use it in this case, but I'm going to say every 1 second, actually that's pretty slow, every 0.8 seconds we're going to fire. So he's going to shoot pretty quickly. Okay, let's go back. I have it set so since he's on the left side, once I get out of the 600 space range, he stops shooting. Once I get close enough, he'll start shooting again. So really, this is more of a turret kind of setup, right? Now that he's on the other side, he starts shooting to the right. Okay? And it doesn't matter if he's on top or where. He's kind of floating right now because doesn't know what to do if he's not standing on a platform. But they do destroy themselves once they touch him too, so that's a nice thing to have. He's definitely outside of the 600 now, so he stops shooting. Okay? Now mixing these together, you can have your bad guys or your NPCs move towards your player, stop, start shooting, move out of the way if they want to get away from the guy. And just using these ranges set up where you're saying, all right, are you less than my position? We'll give you those triggers to make that happen. Okay? So that's fairly easy, not too tough. Kind of even works with some of the stuff you guys have already had.